So as you all know, the NBA season is about to start up again, and it looks like it's going to be a pretty interesting season to say the least. Crazy things happened this offseason. Durant's on the Golden State Warriors, Dwayne Wade left Miami and went to Chicago, LeBron James is chasing his 4th NBA championship this season, and Dwight Howard actually looks like a decent player again. So it's going to be a pretty interesting year coming up. But as always, every year, there are trades that go down and so many trade rumors. Last year, it was all about Russell Westbrook, Blake Griffin, and a whole bunch of guys. So I was thinking to myself, what are a few trades that could happen this year? And I came up with 6 possible trades that I think could happen this season. Obviously, they're all not going to happen. Maybe none of these will happen, but this is what I came up with. Leave a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and let's get into it. Here are 6 trades that could happen this NBA season. Number 6 and 5, Nerlens Noel or Jahlil Okafor. Now, I put these 2 guys together because, well, they play for the same team, they're both fighting for that center position, and I don't expect both of them to be traded, but I do expect one of them to be traded. And in my opinion, I think it's most likely going to be Nerlens Noel, because he's already said he's not happy with how the 76ers have so many big men. He's also heading into free agency this season as a restricted free agent. So I think, like, if you're the 76ers, this is the year that you're gonna shop Nerlens Noel. It's no secret that the 76ers have a duplication of talent at the center position. Joel Embiid, Nerlens Noel, Jahlil Okafor. I think one of them have to go. Now, Embiid seems like the guy in Philadelphia. I think they really want to keep Embiid. And at that point, Jahlil Okafor or Nerlens Noel must go. And Noel's defensive talents, along with his outspoken desire for a trade to take place, make him the most likely candidate to be shipped before the regular season is finished. And I think he'll be traded at trade deadline. I don't know how the 76ers are running this team. I don't think anyone does, not even Sam Hinkie. But let's talk about Jahlil Okafor now. One of the worst kept secrets in all of the NBA earlier this year is that the Boston Celtics were reportedly interested in acquiring Jahlil Okafor from the awful Philadelphia 76ers. They can still do it after acquiring Al Horford because Horford is able to play the power forward position if need be, and the Celtics have so many assets that they can trade away. While Boston could be able to use current assets to prepare for the team's future, the Celtics also could be ready to win this season after acquiring Al Horford. But in saying that, Okafor could end up wearing Boston green when it's all said and done in a few months. Let's look at the other teams that could acquire one of the 2 big men. I've obviously discussed the Celtics. The next team is the Denver Nuggets. Maybe a deal like Nerlens Noel for Will Barton. I mean, the Nuggets just drafted Jamal Murray. A move may be on the horizon. Another team is the Pelicans. I don't know who they'd give up, but I assume they probably wouldn't want to give up Buddy Hield. If they can keep Hield, Anthony Davis, and gain Nerlens Noel, then it would be a great result for the Pelicans. Maybe a Drew Holiday return to the 76ers? I don't know, probably not, but it would be pretty interesting. Davis and Noel as a front-court duo? No team can drive into that ring without getting denied. With that said, I think we can expect to see one of the 2 big men traded. Surely one of them has to go. They've also got Ben Simmons, Dario Saric. Surely one of them will be traded this season. Number 4, Greg Monroe. Greg Monroe was Milwaukee's big free agent acquisition in the summer before last season, and his offensive numbers were largely in line with what we've come to expect, but the Bucks took a step back by missing the playoffs last season, and it's become clear that Monroe's defense sort of lacks with the roster. Monroe has the ability to opt out of the final year of his deal to become an unrestricted free agent next summer, so the Bucks have already stated that Monroe and Michael Carter-Williams are on the trade block, but I think Monroe is the guy that they're most desperate to trade away. I mean, he's on a pretty big contract for what he's producing in Milwaukee, and they simply just don't want him on the team. Looking at the possible options, the Pelicans maybe once again. I mean, they've reportedly been in talks with the Bucks for Greg Monroe, but what's interesting is that New Orleans on the surface makes the least amount of sense of any team on this list. Alvin Gentry's run and gun style is a poor fit with Greg Monroe, and Greg Monroe typically doesn't work well in any pick and roll situations. The other team is the Washington Wizards. The Wizards could also trade either Otto Porter or Kelly Oubre to the Bucks. Monroe might find a new home with Wall and Beal, but honestly, I don't know who would actually really want Greg Monroe, but it will be interesting to see what happens to him because I can't see the Bucks keeping him. The Pelicans, like I said, actually might be a decent fit. I mean, he works well as a big post-up defender to take more bruising assignments for Anthony Davis, but you're still left with Anthony Davis having to clean up his mistakes. Number 3, Rudy Gay. Rudy Gay has already informed the Sacramento Kings that he'll be declining his player option for next season to become an unrestricted free agent. Sacramento should well be out of the playoff picture once again this season, so the team won't hesitate to trade Gay before the deadline if a decent enough offer comes along. The team that I would really want to see Rudy Gay head to would be the Los Angeles Clippers, simply because the one position they need is a small forward. I'd like to see them finally gain a small forward like Rudy Gay because it will give the Warriors some tough competition in the West. I honestly don't see him going to the Clippers though, simply because they won't give any of their starting pieces up. If there was a trade, maybe Wesley Johnson and heaps of future first round picks, just like the Nets gave Boston back when Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce ended up in Brooklyn, but I just can't see that happening. I could see a possible trade in Miami, a straight swap of maybe Goran Dragic for Rudy Gay, but even that trade doesn't really make much sense for the Kings since they have Darren Collison. Plus, Miami might not even really want to do that. Rudy Gay is a hard player to come up with for a trade, so let me know down below in the comment section if you have a team that might really want Rudy Gay and who would they actually trade Rudy Gay for. Let me know down below in the comment section. Number 2, Blake Griffin. Is Blake Griffin really worth the trouble for the Los Angeles Clippers? This is a question that the Clippers will have to answer following an incident that ended with Griffin suffering a hand injury that occurred when he allegedly had an altercation with the team's equipment manager. Now that was last year. Obviously the past is the past. Blake Griffin and the team have moved on, but the New Orleans Pelicans, the Boston Celtics, the OKC Thunder and the Denver Nuggets are possible landing spots for Blake Griffin, but each of those teams would have to be willing to give up valuable assets to land Blake Griffin. I mean, he is a superstar, and the Clippers won't give him up easy. The reason why the Clippers would want to trade Blake Griffin is simply if the Clippers aren't living up to expectations at the halfway point of the season. They're obviously going into the season with pretty much the same team that they've kept the last couple of seasons, and it's never really worked out. So this could be the last stretch for the Los Angeles Clippers. I mean, Blake Griffin, Chris Paul, they're both entering free agency. I don't know, they might want to trade one of those two guys away. And out of anyone, I think it's got to be Blake Griffin. I don't think they're going to trade Chris Paul away. So if Blake Griffin states that he won't re-sign with them, I think a trade might be in the making for Blake Griffin. And not to mention, he's been in plenty of trade rumors throughout the last 2 seasons, so a trade involving Jimmy Butler and Blake Griffin may make sense on paper, but the Chicago Bulls would probably need more to sign off on such a deal, since they don't know if Blake Griffin's going to re-sign with them after the season's over. Plus, they just signed Dwayne Wade and Rajon Rondo, so I guess time will tell how they'll play together as a team in Chicago. And there is another trade that I think I'd love to see happen. I don't know how it would happen, but if the Thunder could somehow get Blake Griffin on the team with Russell Westbrook, that would be insane. Blake Griffin is from Oklahoma, but whether that means anything to him or not is up for discussion. If I was the Thunder, I'd probably just wait in free agency to go after Blake Griffin, but I'd love for Westbrook and Blake Griffin to join forces. Now, this last trade is a trade that I think makes sense for both teams, but I don't think they'll end up agreeing to a deal. It just looks really good on paper though. The Nuggets give up Danilo Gallinari and Kenneth Faried, giving the Clippers a small forward which they desperately need, and a suitable power forward and a great energy guy in Kenneth Faried, whilst the Nuggets could go young with Moutier, Jamal Murray, Will Barton, Blake Griffin and Joseph Nurkic, or Jokic. These guys' names are so hard to pronounce. It looks good on paper, but I doubt the Nuggets will make a trade simply because of the risk of Blake Griffin might not re-sign with them. Maybe a 3-team trade could be in the making. While Griffin had a strange year due to off-court issues, it seems as though many fans are forgetting how talented this former first overall pick is. Last year was the only year that he didn't make an all-star team, and he's consistently improved different areas of his game. I think he'll bounce back this year and be in a discussion for the MVP. Number 1, DeMarcus Cousins. Cousins is under contract for 2 more seasons, so it's unlikely that the Kings will look to move him this year. But if the team doesn't make significant progress by the start of the season, Cousins will almost certainly be dealt, because it's impossible to imagine any reason he'd want to re-sign in Sacramento as an unrestricted free agent in 2018. He seemed to be in almost every trade rumor for the last couple of seasons. How can a player with so much talent be on a team with so little talent? I think the Kings need a full shake-up. Trade Rudy Gay, trade Boogie Cousins, and see what you can get for Ben McLemore. Start fresh and get DeMarcus Cousins teammates to play with. If Boogie were to be traded, it would have to be for some incredible assets. I've seen rumors of the LA Lakers wanting to trade for DeMarcus Cousins, but I sort of feel like they'll ruin what they're building in LA. D'Angelo Russell and Julius Randle for DeMarcus Cousins. Let me know if you were the Kings. Would you make that trade? Or if you were the Lakers, would you make that trade? If you're the Lakers, you keep Jordan Clarkson, Brandon Ingram, and now you have DeMarcus Cousins, which may entice some free agents to play with LA in the future. I don't know, maybe Russell Westbrook after his contract is up, but I mean, he literally just re-signed with them, so I don't know about that. I doubt a trade would happen though. I've seen a few rumors of DeMarcus Cousins for Kevin Love, but I just can't see that happening at all. The Celtics, I think, are the most likely. Either Al Horford or DeMarcus Cousins can play at the 4 position, and they simply have the most assets. They can offer the Kings possibly Jaylen Brown and a future Brooklyn first-round pick, or if they keep Rudy Gay, maybe Marcus Smart and future picks. I'm not sure, but they have a lot of enticing pieces that the Kings may want, depending on how they want to run the team in the future, and just depending on how both teams play to start the season. I could possibly envision a trade though. And I hope you guys enjoy the video. As for some other guys that might be traded this season, maybe Goran Dragic. I mean, he's already told Pat Riley that this isn't what he signed up for. He didn't sign his contract to play with the Miami Heat team without Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. Kenneth Faried might be on the trade block as well. I mean, I know that he is on the trade block, but he might be a guy that will be traded this season. And maybe even Russell Westbrook. Depending on how the Thunder play, it'll be interesting. I doubt he'll be traded this season, but if they can't get him another star player in free agency, like a Blake Griffin or someone like that, and if Westbrook's stats aren't translating into wins, I think it'll be interesting. But yeah, if you enjoy the video, please hit the like button to show your support. It takes 1 second. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoy the video, don't forget to subscribe. I make a whole bunch of videos just like this one. I plan to do some 2017 free agency videos because there are some pretty amazing free agents coming up in 2017. I've got a whole bunch of videos planned. I've got a LeBron James what if. I think you guys will like it. So leave the video a like, subscribe if you're new. And as for all of you that are currently subscribed, thanks for all of your support. You guys are seriously the best. And I'll catch you guys in my next video. Peace!